Greetings, one and all, Arkleton Trust, and any other project partners who get to see this. Just keen to share progress and build the vision for where we're going. We have this fantastic opportunity to partner up with the PermoAfrica Centre, Homa Bay Permaculture Network, and the work of Paul Agola. And let's talk through that a little bit. So it's a Wales Africa partnership, where I say it, Wales UK, so UK Africa partnership, and our intention is to accelerate permaculture learning and especially teacher training. 639 basically represents a strong and active support network, and with the support of Arkleton Trust, Permaculture Association, we've been able to sort of strengthen and build this sort of peer-to-peer mutual learning support network is how we've envisioned it. Now there's kind of side shoots and things that's going to sit within this network. We're in Wales. Here in Wales, we're based with it at the Trevlack farm, where we're actually having to have the chance to do different kind of crop trials and permaculture learning, which actually we can then compare notes across our network with the Rwanda women's permaculture teams and Kenyan and Uganda teams. So it's going to be really, really interesting to not just be talking about these ideas, but actually demonstrating and advancing them and running sort of parallel trials, if you like, in different locations. Okay, so we can see here Paul registered PermoAfrica back in 2016. He's in Rangwi constituency or division within Homa Bay County. And so back in 2016, that was when he did the permaculture course, obviously with Sector 39, and we set off on this journey and it's always been a journey of mutual support. And again, with this intention of advancing permaculture education. Paul set himself the target of eradicating food poverty in Homa Bay County. That's his objective, and I'm really excited by that, because if the possibility is there of creating a really strong cluster of active communities who engage in permaculture, then we could maybe even create some kind of a flip where permaculture becomes a majority. More of that as we go into this. So here's Paul and his family. His wife Deborah also runs a local primary school. I think they did the first 2 years, entry years, as a kind of a community service. The facilities are very thin on the ground, quite threadbare in the area. So Homa Bay is a predominantly Luo speaking area, ethnicity, and within the and as a result of issues I don't care to fully understand, but it's very difficult for Luo people to get, so we say, public sector jobs, police, army, I don't know, civil service, and white collar jobs, things like that. I think just because of whatever tribal realities within Kenya. So there's a lot of self-employed people, there's a lot of farmers, and we discovered there's a lot of miners, kind of gold miners. People kind of dig holes in the ground with their hands. And there's a lot of, when you travel around in Homa Bay County, there is quite a lot of evidence of the fact that the ground's been disturbed for, obviously lack of economic opportunity. So these challenges actually make very fertile ground for permaculture, and Paul has found there's been immense interest, and this process that started a few years ago now seems to be really growing. So I strongly think that Homa Bay is the right place to be doing this. Look, here's Paul with his family, and behind him is this shack. They've been living in this since around Christmas time, I think December. And it was an earth tremor or very heavy rains or something, but his house he's had to rebuild, and being ambitious and having a long-term plan, he's expanded it as well. So he's and here is the house. They're busy working on it at the moment. The house sits very much with the PermoAfrica training centre, and what Paul's done is he's expanded the rooms so he can accommodate 4 people comfortably, who could be interns, who could be long-term embedded volunteers, trainees, students and stuff. And the idea is that firstly they would contribute to the upkeep and running of the PermoAfrica garden. I'll spare you the slides of that now. I think you've seen those. and also then get involved in Paul's outreach projects into the surrounding communities, and then also to write up that experience or somehow capture their experience so that we can create a log of this work. I wanted to understand Paul's work better and how it all operates. So anyway, so this is the venues where people will be staying, and this is what we've been working very hard to get to. So Paul has this lovely demonstration centre. He invites people into it, and that's a very great place to begin teaching. But increasingly, he's being invited to go out into around surrounding villages, sometimes travelling a fair distance. So he's obviously had to evolve strategies and techniques for doing kind of remote learning in very, very rural areas. And this is his little template. This is one of the things that he does, and I thought perhaps in talking through this it would help everybody understand how it kind of works. So yeah, permaculture is kind of vested in 12 principles, and there's lots of different ways to explain it and describe it, but the David Holmgren's 3 ethics and 12 principles is very memorable. They have pictures and signs and sayings and associated with them. So especially in maybe non-literate communities or where you have limited resources, this is a very good way, a memorable way and powerful way of teaching permaculture. So also just to say is something that is just not common in a lot of my experience of working in rural Africa is people don't really have gardens. They don't do what we would call zone 2 cultivation around the edge between your home and your compound, and before sort of you go out into the wider fields. And there's a nutritional gap there as well, because there's an amazing opportunity to produce a lot of fresh greens and herbs and cut and come again kind of vegetables and stuff, and it's just not sort of in the culture. People maybe have fruit trees and they go out and have a field of maize or millet or something, but there isn't a sort of a tradition of this kind of growing, and this is where we've had a massive impact. We know it's having a big impact on nutrition and health and well-being of the people. So these are zone 2 gardens, and they're designed to make you pay attention to detail, and to build an empathy for damn you phone. And build an empathy for the processes of growing. Okay, so quickly go through this. The first principle of permaculture is about observation. Observe and interact. What are my objectives? What's my plan? If I've got good soil? What resources are lying around can I use? Can I come up with a strategy to combine these together in which I can begin to a process in which I can obtain a yield. So principle 2 is catch and store energy. Well, the beginning process of gardening and growing is you make compost, you trap water in the ground, you build soil, maybe make raised beds, you create the right conditions then for growth. Then principle 3 is about creating yields and developing yields, and of course growing greens, cut and come greens on the equator and fertile soil. They grow very, very quickly, and you get a result. That result reinforces that behavior, which is principle 4 about systems and feedback. And and what Paul will do is go into community and talk this through, make them understand they're going through. It's kind of like a process. They'll create some test beds, and then Paul will come back a few weeks later and see how they're getting on. And if they've been keen, they would have replicated and made many, many more. So this is then the knowledge becoming embedded into the community already quite quickly. And on it goes. So use local and natural resources, eliminate waste by building strategies, and then begin to think about design as a more ongoing thing. So this is the way in, and it's what Paul has managed to do is by doing outreach into these villages. He's built up a network over the last few years. He's built up a network of about 30 villages in which he's gone and done this kind of first level contact and support and setting a ball in motion, if you like. Here's some people. These people were trained last week. Here are the bags of sorghum. They can go home and start growing millet. And yeah, just this is actually changing lives in a small way, but in hopefully in a cumulative way. So the idea is to get involved with this. Is we support. Look, here's another group. This week. This is what's actually going on. I think today or yesterday, as I'm recording this. These guys again have got, I think, beans to plant, and it's sort of like a follow-on from initial training, and come back and support that with more resources. So you can see how Paul's building an amazing network and offering. Here's just a training session about building resilience to climate change and farming systems, more climate resilient farming systems. So he started to orchestrate and facilitate a wide-ranging conversation across his whole community, by firstly having his sort of central hub point, a demonstration area, and then also being prepared to go out and migrate out to the areas to reach out to the other villages. But of course, you know, the more he does, the more he's spread thinly. He's already contacted 30 villages. He wants to reach another 30. So the idea of this plan, what we're really gearing up to, is to support Paul, get some people in around him who can also learn from that experience and gain insights, which then they can you know, take away and set those motions in place in their own communities. So I think this is